Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Uncuckables. We've been away for 2 weeks now. We're back tonight, back on time. Of course, I'm Tim Wilms, Editor and Chief of The Unshackled, in lockdown and masked up Melbourne. Also back with me is my fellow locked up and masked up Victorian, David Hiscox, Editor of the XYZ. You gotta unmute yourself, Boomer Tech.
I mean,
hello, Tim. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back.
And we've got making his first appearance on the Uncuckables, but certainly not his first appearance on the Australian alt media primetime lineup. Jarrad Searby, resident of Wodonga, who starting on Monday, you'll have to wear a muzzle like the rest of us.
They tell me, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, cheers.
And we've got joining us from the semi-free, what do you have, free city or free state at the moment of Sydney, Reg Penney from New South Wales Patriots against the extreme left.
how you going, mates? Yeah, we're all a bit 73 in the moment. It's just so they're going to start putting the guards in gyms and all that. So yeah,
hygiene officers, I think they are. Hygiene officers are going to have in the gyms now, New South.
Yeah, they're going to put the COVID guards in for all gyms starting from tomorrow.
What do they do?
Just when people walk in, check COVID-19 or something, or if you had a cough or something like that, you get booted out of there.
Maybe I run a gym and I haven't had any bloody information provided to me about what we're supposed to do, what the requirements are. So it'll be interesting, but I'll stick my hand up.
St. Leonard's has already got a bit shut down, like today, because there was links to COVID-19, like there, and yeah, a bit shocking. It was at the Fitness First.
Well, Fitness First, they already don't have a good reputation at the moment, because wasn't that where XYZ referred to her as a fat whore that Charmaine Vanderlove, the Captain Cook, she worked at Fitness First.
Yeah, you start working there, you'll just get fatter. That's it.
Yeah. Yep, that's the Sheila. She only copped the fine and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again." Lying commie scum she is.
Yeah, they hire disgusting on Australians.
Yeah. And the good news is, that the Black Lives Matter rally has been shut down by the New South Wales Police Force, and they put Paddy Gibson in the paddy wagon, and they only copped a fine. They only got been released from police custody, and they got invited back by the Greens.
Yeah, David Shoebridge, your favourite, Jenny.
Oh, Shoebridge. He's wearing a bloody mask, and he was there. I saw him a few minutes. Yeah.
Here's the meme that you were sharing around Telegram. Black Lives Matter organizer Paddy Gibson arrested and thrown into paddy wagon. And Lucas Roses, he's done a couple of exposés on Paddy Gibson this week. It doesn't sound like a black name, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, this is what he looks like.
Yeah, he's white, and yeah.
It was very intriguing how he just seemed to turn up on the ABC. Like, he was given quite a lot of airtime. And I saw him asked it. Yeah, that's in Channel 9. Yeah, I saw him. They asked him a reasonably hard-nosed question, but you can tell he's been trained, because he did his little bridging statement and then just got straight onto his talking points and just harped on about them for a few minutes. He's an operator, that guy.
Yep. Yeah, I got banned from the solitary page as well, because I did have a laugh at them. I laughed right at them over the rally, and they voted me out.
Now, just to be clear, I don't support any lockdown restrictions at the moment, but since they are enforced, they should be applied equally, regardless of somebody's politics or their claim of importance, because Of course, to the left, Black Lives Matter is more important than the coronavirus because they always get to set their own rules.
Yeah.
As Matty would say, it's about reciprocity, isn't it, Tim? You know, what applies to them applies to us.
What is the limit on outdoor gatherings at the moment in New South Wales? Do you know off the top of your head, Reg?
Well, you can't. Well, it's like they're letting in more people in pubs now, and they're not allowed to have like more than like 20 people like gathering, 5 to 10 people gathering or something. But yeah, what I know that they have too many people to rally, and you know, this is too much. They're just like over the restrictions, and they had to shut it down. I mean, the Premier should have done, like, they shouldn't let these people go and protest the first place. And then the second time they're going to do it, it got overturned because the corrupted judges support the Greens, and then it got overturned. And now the third one that was going to happen, it got cancelled. And it's just like the Supreme Court just stopped it from happening because there's a lot of spikes going on with the coronavirus. And Commissioner Fuller have proved that the coronavirus spike has been caused by the Black Lives Matter protests and all that. So,
I did find that bit intriguing because the New South Wales Police, I think they referred to intelligence from Victoria, suggesting that there was a link between the Black Lives Matter protests here.
Six have been diagnosed with it,
yes.
But contact tracing is so poor, we don't know whether they spread it at the rally or caught it at the rally and spread it elsewhere. Yeah. This is the thing that's been exposed.
So that's the thing. It was very, very convenient. Obviously there's got to be something there. Like, what are the odds? But the way that it's been couched in the media has given the fake right media a chance to say, oh, it's definitely linked to the Black Lives Matter riot, illegal gathering, and it's given like the left wing media the opportunity to say, oh, that no link has been proved. But then the fact that like the New South Wales Police have got up there and said, look, we've got intelligence saying that it is, kind of suggests, yeah, okay, there's a link between the Black Lives Matter protests here in Melbourne and the actual spike. With their PCR tests and their numbers anyway, they can't tell, you know, if people have COVID or if they're testing positive to COVID or if it's another bloody thing that's setting off that exome test anyway. So they're driving the numbers up and down as suits the rhetoric of the day. You know, if they want to lock us down, they up the numbers. If they want to, you know, let the protests go through, they drop the numbers. They want to make us wear masks. You know, 7 people died. Like, it's, you know, they're doing it at their will. Like, they don't know who's got COVID and who doesn't. They haven't got the tests to prove that. So.
Now, a lot of people are making the point that Reg's photo is frozen. That's because he's audio only, and they're also complaining about the background noise, and that's because Reg is outside. If you can move away from the road, Reg, because that is very annoying.
Yep. I know. Yep, sorry guys. I'm right away from the road now, so yeah.
And as always, we're live on the Uncuckables YouTube and DLive, and you can also join us on Entropy. We're no longer taking questions anymore, so if you want to make a comment or ask a question, you have to pay for it through the super chat. So I'll put the link in there. We haven't got a poll question tonight. I was thinking of just putting a poll on my own channel. If you could go back in time, who would you kill? Would it be Karl Marx, Adolf Hitler, or the bat soup eater?
Get rid of Marx.
Yeah, Marx. Every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Because they're out there that patient zero, whether they ate the bat soup or were in that lab, who was the negligent person or deliberate person.
Well, they don't know who patient zero is, so if they don't know who he is, I don't know how they know what he ate.
It came from a bat, we know that much.
Well, that's what they say. Yeah. How can we know? How can we know where it come from if we don't know who it come from?
Because this strand of, as they call it, COVID-19, it evolved from bat coronavirus.
Bats carry over 1 million sorts of coronavirus, so it's possible, but it's not proven. It's not 100%. They definitely can't say that with 100% accuracy.
But still, eating bats is disgusting.
No doubt. I don't doubt that at all. Yeah.
Well, who wants to eat a bloody bat? Not me. I mean, they might carry diseases and all that.
Could get coronavirus.
Well, people forget that we've got, our local bat, the fruit bats. There's an over population of them at the moment. The greenies don't want them culled, even though they're
flying around the city here and there.
Yeah,
so.
and ruining tourist spots.
Exactly.
They're also known as flying foxes as well, because they're basically half bat, half fox.
Well, did the bat shag the fox or the fox shag the bat?
I was just describing their appearance. I
think Reg just asked the pertinent question there.
The foxes were introduced to Australia, so unless there was a mutation early in early settled Australia.
Just think, the fox is looking at that bat going,
And they also shouldn't be called fruit bats because we don't want people to eat them. They're not delicious like fruit.
Oh, have to ask the Chinese about that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Or ask Ozzy Osbourne when he bit the head off the bat.
Oh yeah, good old Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy would have been too numb to taste anything at the time.
Well, he had to be rushed to hospital and treated for rabies.
Well, probably not the first time either.
But it could be. That's why he's so brain dead these days, because of the bat. Who knows?
Yeah, well,
something his wife's cooking.
It could be patient zero.
They should put him on there, the coronavirus ad, saying, you shouldn't do what I did. I bit the head off a bat, and look how it's fried me, and don't do it.
Who do you think would make more sense, Ozzy Osbourne or Joe Biden?
Oh, Ozzy Osbourne, definitely.
That'd be a hell of a debate. Yeah.
Did you see that Joe Biden, he came out of his car at some appearance where he had glasses on, and it looked like he's now blind as well.
They keep putting up geriatrics. First Hillary, now Joe.
Why don't they just replace him with a robot now? Like it's that seems to be like I was, because they still have to wheel him out as the presidential candidate. Like, just replace him with a robot now. It'd be much more palatable.
Well, they could have him cloned already. They might have the clones lined up, waiting to go.
Oh God.
I just maintain that there's no way that there's no way that he's going to be the president this time next year. If he does win the election, Hillary Clinton will swoop in. Or she might swoop in just before the election. Like, basically, you don't give up on world domination that easily. I think she's going to find a way just to get in on the ticket.
Well, the front runner for his VP now is Susan Rice, who was Barack Obama's national security advisor, who he wanted to be Secretary of State after Hillary Clinton resigned the position. She's the one that blamed the Benghazi killings on that Muhammad YouTube video.
That's right. My favorite potential running mate for Joe Biden was there was an Asian chick who had served in the U.S. military and was missing both her legs, and so was walking around with like fake legs, prosthetic legs. So like they were really trying to cover all of the intersectional. They were trying to cover all the intersections with that one.
Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he's in a wheelchair, and he was elected, in a wheelchair. He was to best of my knowledge, he was.
It'll save him for now. If he's a straight white male, being
he
in a wheelchair will save him.
Paralyzed by a falling tree during a storm when he was young.
Bloody hell.
But he's still a very capable governor.
Yeah.
But he could be, well, Texas. There's still the fear that it'll turn blue from all the Californians and other staters going into Texas.
If Texas turn blue, then hope is lost for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Texas.
That's a good point. Eh? So much rests on one state in America. Yeah.
Though we could, in the near future, and depending on how Clive Palmer's border closure challenge goes, if when the state borders are reopened, you could see this mass exodus from Victoria of Victorians. There's so many reasons to leave at the moment, not just Dictator Dan.
Yeah, but will the rest of Australia take us though?
Yeah,
like,
but if the High Court
would you take
rules
us?
that the state border closures are unconstitutional, they can't stop the Victorians going wherever they want. You can just cross the border into South Australia, Western Australia, and go, ha, border officials, we can just walk across now and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the possibility, depending on what the High Court... That's what you were prevented from doing, Jarrad.
It is, yeah, just crossing the border as my constitutional right. I'm right in there with Clive Palmer. I support what he's doing. So, and if he's successful, it helps my cause a lot too. So, yeah, Scott Morrison came out today and said that it's more than likely that Clive Palmer will be successful in his bid to open the borders. So, when you have the Prime Minister saying that, it's highly likely, that's a good sign that the trial's going, or the case is going in the right direction. So they tried to postpone it again.
So what you're saying is that the PM has actually come out and said it's probably likely that us shutting down borders is actually unconstitutional.
No, well, the PM's actually backing Clive Palmer's case against the Western Australian government. So the PM's saying that it's unconstitutional, and that he thinks it's likely that they'll win the case. So the federal government's opposing the state government in that case. He also has one against the Queensland government, which he's going for next to open the Queensland borders. But then it's funny that on one hand, Scott Morrison says he's opposed to the closure of the WA border, but at the same time he's supporting the closure of the Victoria South Wales border. I don't know how he can have a foot in both bloody circles.
The High Court's certainly not going to. I know that WA has what's termed a hard border closure, but a border closure is a closure. The other state borders for quite a while, they had a 14-day mandatory quarantine. And, well, we don't know what the High Court is going to rule, but they could even rule that is unconstitutional as well.
And the mandated face masks, the whole thing.
Well, this is the what I've been saying as well. I mean, the media and all the appointed human rights lawyers are saying, yes, the Victorian government, they can mandate face coverings and all this, but we don't actually know until, like with Clive Palmer launching this court case, before it's before a court and a judge, what the actual ruling is, because as we know with previous High Court decisions, guessing what they're going to decide is a mug's game.
Yeah, they can be all over the place with their decisions, the High Court, but they are generally, they like to stick to the Constitution, which is good. So hopefully, if they stick to them lines, they should, I think, come away with a positive. Yeah.
I'd put more credence on the High Court than any court in Victoria. Like, that was the whole reason that George Pell was able to get, actually a fair hearing. He was able to actually get a hearing in a federal court. Like, you get a hearing in a Victorian court, and it's all going to be controlled by the state government. The outcome's already decided.
Don't forget that the High Court has previously slapped down Victoria with the Lawyer X revelation, and also when Dan Andrews tried to suppress the report into the red shirts rorts.
There you go.
So the High Court has saved Victoria 3 times.
Yeah, well, even with this case that I have now, the magistrate's not actually, they have no jurisdiction over constitutional matters, or as soon as the constitution's brought up, it gets taken straight out of the magistrate's hands. So, yeah, even though the magistrates don't like to let go of the case, which, they haven't, but yeah, as a general rule of thumb, constitutional matters have to go to the High Court.
If Blair had more resources, he could have gone all the way to the High Court in challenging Victoria's Racial and Religious Tolerance Act, but he could only only had the resources to go as far as the County Court of Victoria, where the Chief Judge Peter Kidd just said, yes, I find it consistent with Australian constitutional implied freedom to political communication and the Victorian Charter of Human Rights and Responsibility, and I'm imposing the same conviction and fine of $2,000, basically, just affirming the initial Melbourne Magistrates Court sentence.
In hindsight, he probably would have been better off representing himself and saving a few bucks, and he might have had more of an opportunity to get his case heard.
So, Jarrad, tell us more. What's it like there on the border then? Trying to get across back and forth. Is it like trying to get in and outside of from Israel to the West Bank, or is it not like that?
Like the Berlin Wall? No, it's not that bad. Some places are worse than others. Some of the more stricter crossings are the ones that a lot of people cross at, and I think a lot of the news teams seem to focus on. They have the army there and the drug buses, and they're apparently bringing in sniffer dogs and stuff like that. And then some of the smaller crossings is where the locals sort of dart across, and they're a bit easier. So you might get 1 or 2 officers on the bridge, and they basically just wave you through without really looking at your permit too hard, which is good, because it's a lot of people are getting frustrated with it, and it's costing a lot of people a lot of time. Trying to get to work or trying to get to school or something like that has gone from just driving around a small country town to being stuck in the middle of Burke Street. So it's not really going down too well with the locals. But
you wouldn't be used to traffic, eh?
Nah, not at all. And just you can tell the difference between the local police and the out of town police. So the local police are a lot friendlier. The ones that come down from Sydney and stuff like that, they start asking questions and getting pushy, and they want to know the ins and outs of everything, which so it ruffles my feathers, to say the least. So I let them know every time I go through if they start asking questions. But
well, it's an old tactic of regime, which is wanting to do some repression, to use police or an army units from one part of the country in a different part of the country. They don't want them, interviewing people. They don't want them giving people a hard time. They don't want them to give a hard time to people that they know, because they're more likely to, get on well with them and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you can see that happening now. That's exactly the case, yeah.
And we've also got intra-state borders in Victoria at the moment, the so-called Ring of Steel around Greater Melbourne and Mitchellshire as well, and as well as mandating face coverings for the rest of Victoria from midnight Sunday, starting from midnight tonight, for the local government areas of Greater Geelong, Surf Coast, Moorabool, which is like Balan, that's in between Bacchus Marsh, Melton and Ballarat, Golden Plains, which is in between Ballarat and Geelong, Colac Otway, which had one of the worst meatworks outbreaks, and the borough of Queenscliff, which is, it's surrounded by the city of Greater Geelong. So you can continue to visit restaurants, cafes, attend community sport and visit gyms, but you're not allowed visitors and no weddings or funerals at home. So you're not allowed to have friends over to have a few drinks, but you can meet at the pub to have a few drinks, because according to Dan Andrews now, pubs are less likely to have community transmission. Does that mean the pubs in Melbourne can be open now?
He said that because of he said now that they're supervised venues. So because they're supervised, they're less likely of spreading the disease. So now it's just placing authority into pub workers and, everyday people.
They were already being threatened if they were not COVID compliant with fines and shutdowns and that. So I don't think there's going to be a great change, but it does extend the logic. So why can't the pubs be open in at least some of Metro Melbourne then, if that's the justification for Geelong and its surroundings?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Jarrad, I also like your point there, like the fact that they're putting the responsibility onto the people who work in the stores and all that sort of stuff. It's like the government has found a way to make us police ourselves.
Yeah,
with
the mask mandate, that's certainly what we've seen.
Exactly. Like when you think of those people in the Bunnings store telling the lady she has to wear a mask, it's like they're mini Dan Andrews. It's like they have a way of creating these like little dictators.
They're dividing the people.
And divide the people against each other and just get us to do their dirty work, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Which, people are freaking, and they're ringing the snitch line, and they're doing all these things, and shaming people who don't comply with the rules, and they're effectively ripping society apart by turning people against each other. So they're causing division, which is obviously the opposite of us all uniting, which is the goal with projects like this. So
yeah, that's it. Apparently we're all in it together.
And I've previously said that masks don't work. I stand by that summary statement, because this is the thing that people suddenly believe, that because Dan Andrews has waved his magic wands, that suddenly masks are effective when they weren't before. But you have a look at Dan Andrews' own Facebook post this afternoon. It's like, this is how face coverings work, which is, it has to be like a surgical medical grade mask, otherwise it's not effective at all. So he's got this these different drawings here: a person with coronavirus, a healthy person. When no one wears face covering, the risk of transmission is very high. When a healthy person wears a mask but a person with coronavirus doesn't, risk of transmission is moderate. When a person with coronavirus wears a mask but a healthy person doesn't, the risk is very low. But when both healthy and coronavirus person wear the mask, the risk of transmission is even lower. So the face covering
it's like we have to go through like sex education. That's what it feels like.
Making healthy people wear a mask, it's the benefit is extremely marginal. We're going from lower risk to even lower. And what's the difference between lower and even lower? Like this is the whole thing. They previously said healthy people shouldn't wear masks.
Well, the World Health Organization still stands by that statement. So if you actually look on the World Health Organization's website, they recommend healthy people not to wear masks. So absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and the mainstream media, their narrative in the early days of the pandemic was that masks don't work because they were trying to portray people who were worried about the coronavirus. They were trying to portray us as being xenophobic and racist because, like it was all from China. So it's like, oh, if you wear a mask, you're afraid of Chinese people and you're racist.
Yeah.
But now it's been flipped.
Yeah, which they constantly, they're flipping back and forth all the time. So it actually says there is currently no evidence that wearing a mask by a healthy person in the wider community, including a universal community, can prevent them from infection with any respiratory virus, including COVID-19. So that's on the WHO website. So there's no evidence that wearing a mask will prevent any spread spread or from anyone catching it or spreading it.
I'm actually beginning to think that the WHO, remember at the beginning, everyone was accusing them of not taking the coronavirus seriously, suppressing information on behalf of China. I'm coming around to the opinion maybe they weren't as bad or as negligent as everyone was first making them out to be.
Well, China, they always cover things up. China lies, people die. That's the thing.
This was the thing.
Covering for China.
we know a lot more about this virus now than we did at the beginning, which fueled a lot of the anxieties and panic buying because we just didn't know what this virus was capable of. But even with the second wave in Victoria now, because remember the flatten the curve, it was so that our ICU and hospital beds wouldn't be overwhelmed. But even though we had 723 cases today, if I just bring it up here, 312 cases of coronavirus are in hospital, including 34 in intensive care. So 34 in the whole state. That's and 312 in hospital. That's not our entire healthcare system swamped. Remember when Dan Andrews wanted to use the convention centre as a makeshift morgue for coronavirus victims?
Yeah, or they were whacking up bloody hospitals in a few days in China for all the bodies over there. I don't think any of them are full, are they?
Well,
all the people in ICU, they're all bloody elderly. They're going to go there anyway, COVID or not.
Well, they make a big deal when a person in their 50s or 40s dies from coronavirus, but the overwhelming amount of deaths are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, so the age people die.
Yeah, which is why the aged care fiasco is a bit of a big deal. We could see quite a lot of elderly people just die on. It's there are towns in Italy where like an entire generation died. I'm talking like elderly. So again, like 80s, 90s. There's that side to it as well.
But
the issue there is that like the aged care industry like shouldn't exist. Like people should be living with their parents.
Yeah, that's I agree with that as well. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about my own parents' future, and I never want to send them into a aged care facility or a nursing home. I'm not sure about the rest of you. It sounds like you agree with me, David.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm glad my grandmother never went to one. She said, "Yeah, you'll have to you'll have to take me out of here in a coffin," and that's what they did.
Yeah, I would, because some children, they do it to their parents as like a sort of idle threat, or as a joke. It's not even a laughing matter now, I don't think.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Even before coronavirus, it was just like the old people are scared of nursing homes because they know what happens in those places. And so now it's a place that you literally go to die.
And at the moment with the lockouts too, so my grandmother's in a nursing home at Phillip Island, and we have a son now, 8 months old, who hasn't had a chance to meet her. So we had planned to go down right as the lockdown sort of started, and they banned everybody. And yeah, my wife rang up half a dozen times to ask if we can go in yet and visit, and we still can't go in. So yeah, we can go in. We could go in at one at a time, but we couldn't take the baby in or anything like that. So this is absolutely crazy.
It's almost like a triple whammy with the nursing home deaths at the moment. The family are not even getting the opportunity to be on the deathbed of their loved ones, and then the funerals are restricted as well. So therefore, you have the existing restriction. You have a dead family member. You're not allowed to see their final moments, final goodbyes, and then the funeral is restricted. That's why I call it a triple whammy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wrong, absolutely wrong.
Yeah. What we're seeing is like both with what's happening in the aged care so-called industry and also the childcare so-called industry. We're seeing like the horrible imbalances of the way that we've been told is a modern way to live. We're seeing the consequences of all that because we're getting these old people dying and people are able to say goodbye to them. And like the childcare industry as well, that shouldn't exist.
Fred Nile has called them day orphanages, which is true.
Yeah, families should be looking after each other, but instead we're all out working sending the little ones off
they're getting
during the day and putting
women
the old people out of
into
sight, out of mind.
workforce participation. That's the thing.
Yeah, my wife works in childcare actually, and she's had plenty of kids where she goes in, they'll get dropped off at 6 in the morning, and they don't get picked up till 5 o'clock at night, and you know that'll be 5 nights a week, you know, and that was when we're in the city more. In the country they're a bit better. They don't spend as long there, but when she was in the city, she'd have kids that she had for 5 or 6 years straight, and they were there 5 days a week for 10 to 12 hours a day. So that's no time with their parents, and a lot of them had development issues. They become very clingy to my wife, my wife was the sort of substitute parent in them roles. So it's the amount of time that parents don't spend with their kids is amazing.
That's even worse than I thought. Wow. And that wasn't uncommon. That was very common, especially among the ethnics. It was it was very common for a lot of them to leave their kids long hours. So that's the opposite of what we get told a lot of the time.
No, well, she worked in Sydenham there, so that was that was a pretty busy area, and they definitely they left them there for 10 hours. It was very common.
Wow.
Going on from what you mentioned about childcare and aged care, Dave, don't forget until the coronavirus pandemic, they were encouraging for climate conservation benefits for young people to live in those pods, and also to eat bugs as well to fight climate change. Well, we're seeing what can happen. A bat is not a bug, but bugs are quite disgusting themselves. And with the public housing towers where there was those outbreaks and they got put under literal house arrest, if there was like a pod tower with all these people living in different pods, just how quickly the virus would spread.
Yeah, well, my take on that is it's interesting how they're just trying to normalize this way of living, which is just not free, like making us live in like little boxes, changing our diet, telling us that if we actually want to eat good food, like we're going to kill the environment. It's about making slaves, and that's the way I see the mask thing as well. They're trying to program behavior, trying to make everybody conform, cover their faces, lose a little bit of their identity, lose a bit of their self-expression. When they out of fear, everybody complies. That's how you institute an authoritarian system.
It seems so normal, so quick too. It just seems like the new normal. Everybody's accepted it. It's just like the old ways already forgotten. People's come to terms with the way it is now, and we're talking a matter of months. That's how short our concentration span is. We're already on to the next thing, and we just accept these new directives we're given, and it's absolutely crazy that people don't sort of see what's happening and feel accountable to do something about it. That's beyond me.
Yeah, they're spot on about how quickly people just sort of adjust to it. They're using the expression "the new normal" unironically as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and when you hear these terms that they repeat in the media, your ears start to prick up. Anti-maskers is another one that's all over. Anti-maskers is another one that they're just throwing out there. Trying to put people into that anti-vaxxer, anti-masker.
That's right.
So they use these terms to get into your head. So it's all programming.
Yeah. Well, the term the deniers as well.
Yes, another one.
That links you to something else that nobody wants to be associated with that. And so if you're a denier, then that's the worst thing that you can be.
Yeah. Even a patriot. The word patriot has become a bad word these days. If you're a patriot, how dare you? Going back to our grandfather's generation.
How dare you? Seriously, I hear kids using that expression. That's been normalized as well.
Yep.
I was actually interestingly, I was just walking down to the supermarket today. When I'm out in public, I was talking with Maddie about this on Monday on the XYZ live stream, and we're both out in scarves, I use this trick. So, like if the police are going to come along, I can cover my face. And if I see somebody who's obviously a little bit scared, just to put them at ease, I'll put it up. But then I'm sort of walking around with my face open. And getting just to the entrance of a supermarket, I saw a spot where there were about half a dozen people all sort of sitting, and none of them had their masks on. And so I sort of happily just pulled my scarf down and I smiled. And one guy looked at me and said, "They've got us all looking like idiots, don't they?" so there is some silent resistance. There is some quiet resistance out there.
Well,
there should be.
Yeah, it's not so much. I don't think the police that people are concerned about, but the Karen patrol, the pro mask Karens as well. Reg, you've previously described an encounter with a Karen you had just today. Even though it's not mandatory in Sydney.
Yeah, it was just some mad old woman just having to go on everyone for not wearing a mask, and then she had to go on me.
Was she yelling?
Yeah, she was yelling.
Well, then she's probably, a lot of the droplets are probably getting past her mask then.
She was like whistling insane. I'm like, calm down. I mean, she needs to go to a nursing home or whatever. I mean, oh God. Just after I explained the facts that America already found the cure for COVID-19, and then she had to go at me and oh God.
You're referring to hydroxychloroquine, which you shouldn't have said that because YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they're taking down all the videos they can find of those American frontline doctors who held that press conference outside Washington DC, talking about hydroxychloroquine, which is a malaria drug which has been proven to treat a COVID-19. I don't think you can go as far to call it a cure. But this is the thing, because Trump, he talked up its benefits and confessed that he's taking it. The mainstream media and social media, they would rather this pandemic go on than concede Trump is right about something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Mainstream media, social media, they're all trying to cover everything up. I mean, the ABC shown a bit of footage of Trump speaking today about finding the cure, and they only chopped up and edited everything. They didn't even show the footage of this just some Nigerian woman that found the cure.
Dr. Stella.
Dr. Stella
Emmanuel, and what is it? PragerU, they got suspended from Twitter for mentioning her. And what is it? There was a good meme where it says, "Listen to the doctors, no, not her. Elevate black voices, no, not hers." And there was this. She had this encounter with a white Black Lives Matter supporter outside Washington DC. Let's just show the audience that.
You're betraying Black Lives Matter. I'm black. Yeah, but that's not. You're white. You're not black on the inside. I'm more black than you on the inside at this particular point. Yeah. Oh, they're black. People during the times of slavery who enabled the slavers. You're on the wrong side, ma'am. I promise you. You are my sister. I am you standing here. I promise you who I am. You're me standing here. Mind you, no comment. Come on. Social distance. Come on. We just did. All right. There we go. The very first Americans were protesters. Protesters, the very first people to die for this country.
Sir, what's your profession?
I'm Jesus Christ, you tool. My profession is to save the world from goddamn assholes like yourself.
Can I see your ID? Please.
Yeah, you really want to?
So he's calling a bunch of doctors assholes who want to help help treat COVID-19. And these
I like how he said you're not black on the inside. She should have said, yeah, we're all pink on the inside. Sorry, please continue, Tim.
A Beaver anti-bullying has said in the comments, it's not some miracle treatment. Yes, you are correct about that, Beaver anti-bullying, but this is how so ludicrous the hydroxychloroquine derangement syndrome has become, that you're not social media censors you, mainstream media pillars you if you even talk about that it can have a positive treatment. And they tried to, the media at the beginning tried to sort of imply that these doctors weren't real doctors because, they're wearing white coats, that looks very suspicious. But they're all a practicing, qualified, licensed doctors. We see the return of Dr. Dan Erickson, Neil's uncle. He was the one who did the initial video questioning the benefits of the lockdowns. He's an emergency medicine specialist in California, 16 years experience in medicine. And the black doctor that we saw, Dr. Stella Emanuel, she's a primary care doctor in Houston, Texas, licensed. She went to school in West Africa, Nigeria. She's practiced in Louisiana and now in Texas. Treated more than 350 COVID patients. And they've tried to demonize her because she's religious and believes in alien DNA and demons and that. But she's still got a medical license. So obviously she hasn't been found guilty of any malpractices and that. So what's her religion got to do with it?
Yeah, what's really intriguing, what I find really intriguing about this, a few weeks ago, like I was listening to the ABC radio. I think they might have been simulcasting from the BBC.
Oh, ABC News breakfast team, they're in self-isolation because one of the crew members' wives tested positive. Oh no, Michael Rowland in the morning. So what is remember they were the ones who were ordering everyone to wear masks and came up with the anti-masker term.
Yeah, I was actually considering reporting on that with the headline. All the ABC staff are going to die, but I figured I should sort of maybe rethink it.
Can the ABC self-isolate forever?
Yeah, I didn't want to do any headline that could be construed as a threat. This was actually reported on the ABC and through the BBC. They were talking about that original Lancet article that came out, which was based on a study saying that how do you pronounce it, Tim? You're going to have to help. The tables have turned to you. You're going to have to help.
Hydroxychloroquine. I've heard it so many times now. It just hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine. Thank you.
Yeah. So the study, like the study which like all the media reported on, apparently said that it was actually not only was it not beneficial, it was more harmful. And so this study was very quickly taken apart. And it was so thoroughly taken apart that they actually reported on the fact that the study was just completely debunked. They reported on that on the mainstream media. They reported on that on the BBC and on the ABC. And on this report that I was listening to, like via communist ABC, they were actually pointing out, look, this study seems to be linked to an NGO which has just popped up out of nowhere. Nobody really knows where this thing came from. Like there are these people listed who aren't qualified, and you had experts saying, look, the whole thing sounds really, really fishy. So what I find bizarre is that like the supposed study which was supposed to show that this cure held up by Donald Trump, saying that it doesn't work, like that's been proven completely wrong. Yet YouTube and the social media, they're still trying to like push the line that hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. So that's bizarre.
And this was published by CNN earlier this month. This is where they actually admitted that there was a study that found that hydroxychloroquine may have boosted survival, but they put this, but other researchers have doubts. Well, of course, there's always in medicine, there's always differences of opinion.
Well, they might be referring to that Lancet article, which has been debunked.
It was funny. My wife actually was telling me before that she has a friend that their grandmother was on hydrochloroquine up until COVID. They had been on it every day for years, was prescribed from their doctor. Once COVID started, they stopped the prescription, told her that she could no longer get it, and informed her that they weren't actually sure when she could get it again.
Well,
so it's funny that because
today that there's currently a order in Victoria under the Drugs, Poison and Controlled Substances Act 1981, order extending the period of restriction on the sale or supply or use of the poison or controlled substance hydroxychloroquine. So it was first, the order was first made 28th of April and has been extended on the 9th of July. So.
Yeah, well, this lady was on it every day for years, apparently, and then all of a sudden, just before the whole news coming out in COVID, they stopped it.
Wow! So even if so it sounds like pre-planned. That's really interesting.
100%. Yeah. Well, how else can you take that? Yeah.
I might have to look on that one. I don't know if New South Wales banned it or not. So
it's in the government proclamations, and this is the sort of the scary things that's been exposed with Dan Andrews continuing to extend and ramp up the state of emergency restrictions under the Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008. That using existing legislation, governments can dramatically restrict and shake up our lives. We don't often discuss enough in Australia about the dangers of executive power, which is basically another form of royal decree. And that brings me to this super chat by Pissy Leaks Pete for $5 US. Thank you so much, Pissy Leaks Pete. Breaking news: Dick Ears Dan will announce that every Victorian must put their thumb up their ass or face a $200 fine. I guess the sheeple will comply. By the way, George Floyd is still full of shit. He's got a new video. I think that's because he's got a link to a video at the end. I'll just put it in the chat there. I should do what Maddie does, put the whole super chat in the live chat there. I can't put the whole thing in. Never mind. But yeah, Victoria Police, they've handed out a lot of these $200 fines on top of the existing $1,652 penalty infringement notices, and they ended up encountering again Eve Black, the checkpoint crosser, when she questioned the police officer whether she'd committed a crime or disturbed the peace. Am I under arrest? And she was waved through the checkpoint. So the police encountered her on Wednesday again up near Carlton. It turns out that she's actually Greek. So her full name is Eve Limbiriou. I think Pissy Leaks Pete, who's Greek himself, will be able to help me out with the pronunciation. Yeah, so Victoria Police allege she refused to provide a name and address or state reason for travel. The police allege that they were forced to break her car window during the arrest as she refused to wind down her window or step out of the vehicle as directed. This occurred at around about 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Charges include, well, they've claimed they've charged her with failing to hand over a driver's license, failing to state a name and address, violating COVID-19 public health orders, and traffic offences. And when this broke on social media, I noted that during the Black Lives Matter protests in Australia, they were calling for the police to be defunded, but now they're cheering on Victoria Police smashing this girl's window.
Oh, Victorian police are an absolute joke. There always has been since the times when Nick Kelly's around and all that.
So it's
they drive balls.
Oh.
Victorian police don't have any guts at all.
So
or of New South Wales police, but Victoria's just
They just fined the three organisers of those Black Lives Matter rallies. They didn't take any steps to prevent it at all. They just said, don't go. At least New South Wales made an effort going through the courts, which I think probably sent a better signal.
So Tim, just going back to like what you're saying is, so like, because this chick, she talked her way through one checkpoint, but she's tried to get through another, and they've arrested her this time around. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, they were determined to get to her since they smashed her car window, because obviously she winded up the window and locked her car. Yeah.
So that is interesting. So as you said, like these new coronavirus laws basically now mean that police can do things that they weren't able to do in the past, and the pretext is the common good. Yeah.
It's debatable whether they can legally do them or not. So a lot of that, is going to have to go to court, because these precedents aren't set. So the Biosecurity Act doesn't give them the right to go against the Constitution or the the Charter of Human Rights and Services. So a lot of these police officers are going to have things to answer for. It looks like they're getting thrown under the bus, really, because they don't know what they're allowed to do. A lot of them, they're not they're not properly informed, and a lot of what they are doing is against law and legislation. So the Omnibus Act for the COVID-19.
Yeah, this was the other legislation they passed. I saw Craig Cole talk about it today.
Yeah, so it says that they cannot. So this chapter only comes into act when it's not against the Charter of Human Rights and Services or the Constitution. So that is the legislation that they wrote for COVID, and right there it states that they can't go against the Constitution. So when they get to court, they're going to have a lot to answer for. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Did you see when Dan Andrews, when he was asked by the media about these checkpoint crosses, he's like, if I hear one more thing about human rights, seriously, it's about human life. And then he sort of apologized for his outburst because he was tired.
That's it. They can't just state that it's that the Human Rights Charter doesn't exist anymore, or that it's no longer valid. So there's no proclamation certificate to state that. There's no there's nothing. So they can't where they're getting their authority, I don't know. But it's
Well,
as I've said on XYZ and on some of the live streams, like this is it's always the excuse that totalitarians use to institute their system of control. It's always the common good. It's always public health. It's always, we're protecting you. So it's as you say, it's vital that these things get challenged now as they're happening 100%. For the first time.
100%. Yeah.
Now, there was so much vicious hate against Eve Black for crossing that checkpoint, even though, as far as we know, she's not infected with the coronavirus. We don't know who she was going to associate with. We don't even know, as Daniel Andrews himself confessed, he didn't know whether her crossing that checkpoint, whether she'd violated the stay-at-home orders. We don't know which checkpoint it was, where she was going, or anything. But we did hear today about two Queensland teenage women who have tested positive for coronavirus, had been in Melbourne and gone back into to Queensland and lied on their border declaration. And to me, there's a big difference between putting restrictions on what healthy people can do and those who are infected with this virus. This is what XYZ wrote. African gang spreads, diversity flew to Queensland. I don't know whether these two girls constitute a gang, but
if they're Africans and they went to Melbourne on a shoplifting spree, then yeah, technically.
Fucking ugly.
It was not actually from the far right ultra racist Australian. It was from the far right ultra racist Courier Mail, because apparently when the COVID breaches are people of colour and not promoting hydroxychloroquine, then it's racist to talk about who they are. So
which is why I put African gangs into the headline, because for example, like it wasn't until I spoke to my housemate in the afternoon that he realised that these two girls were African. Like he'd heard via his parents on the radio that it was teens. And was one of you saying before, like you didn't know until just before?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I didn't know till Tim informed me they were African. Yeah,
and that's how they do it. They say it's teens. They hide the race of the perpetrators when it's convenient for them.
Thomas Van de Hoof in the chat has said Botox lives matter. Yes, they're 19 and they've already had that much Botox. Not even the Kardashians have had that much work, it seems. But let's go through what News Corp said. The two teenage girls with COVID-19 who travelled to Melbourne and back this month have been fined $4,000 each. They've actually had more charges put on them now. They're now facing jail time after lying to authorities about where they had been, sparking fears of a second wave of the pandemic in Queensland. The teens allegedly travelled to Melbourne this month on a shoplifting mission to steal luxury handbags. That's it. That's it. As fears rose that the 19-year-old women had triggered Queensland's first community-transmitted cluster in months, with a sister of one of the pair also testing positive late on Wednesday, it emerged they were wanted by Victoria Police. It's understood the pair, one who was named Olivia Winnie Muraranga, under investigation over attempted theft of a Bottega Veneti handbag at a high-end store in Melbourne, with suspicions they travelled interstate specifically to shoplift the goods and sell them. The teenagers already face criminal charges in Queensland, failing to declare their trip to Victoria and giving false personal details on the state border declaration forms after flying back to Brisbane via Sydney on July 21. Health authorities have ordered the closure of the two schools for cleaning, including Parklands Christian College south of Brisbane, where one of the women is a cleaner. So obviously she's not cleaning it now, and it worked for at least 2 days after her return. 6 restaurants and bars in Brisbane CBDs and other outer southern suburbs have also been closed for cleaning, along with a small shopping centre, African grocery store and a medical practice visited by either of the women since returning home. And this is both of them here.
And as I pointed out, it took 7 paragraphs or 6 paragraphs to mention the word African, and even then, like, they just referred to an African grocery store.
I've never heard of an African grocery store before. What makes them different from, like, what cuisines do they have?
It's nothing.
Like, obviously, Asian grocery stores, we have an idea of what's sold in them. In fact, Woolworths and Coles now have Asian, Indian, and Mexican food aisles, but I've never been down the supermarket aisles to the African food section.
Yeah, it's bare.
There's only Asian supermarkets and Westfields here and there. There's they always close. There's always Asian like supermarkets here and there, but I've never seen an African shop at all.
We have one here in Wodonga. We have an African shop in the main street here, an African supermarket. So,
what can you buy there? Have you been in?
Mate, no, I haven't been in personally. No, it's not.
Well, go in while you can. That can be your homework for us.
I don't know if they'll let me, mate. I don't know. I've never seen anyone like me in there. Sadly.
Oh, well, that would be, what is it? Unless they
discrimination.
Yeah, well, because you're a tall white guy.
I'll tell you what, for you, Tim, I'll try. I'll go in there this week and I'll see what we can buy. Right.
Yeah. Well, what does it?
I know you guys.
No, you go, Dave.
Oh no, I was going to butt in and change the subject. You go.
Oh no, you changed the
That's
subject.
all right. Yeah, we probably should stop talking about Africans anyway. I'll get myself in trouble.
Oh no, I was going to talk about it more actually.
Okay. Well, what
Like,
segue have you got?
Well, because I did another article like a few days ago, reporting on the Nantes Cathedral fire, because it turned out there was a volunteer who was a refugee from Rwanda who has confessed to setting the fire.
Is this I've got it up here.
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, so the headline I put for that was, I think it was Nantes Cathedral fire, a black guy did it. So again, like I'm just making the point that the mainstream media, they deliberately hide race when it's convenient for them. If they can use the footage of a black guy being under the knee of a supposedly white policeman, then all of a sudden black people are visible. But when they destroy like a key heritage site of Western civilization, then they're not. So yeah, it's just pointing out the media manipulation there.
Yeah, funny how they definitely pick their targets and their victims, more to the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So where are we at now?
Oh, story-wise?
Yeah.
Are we up to? Let's talk about the how the media likes to jump on all the normies who sort of anti-maskers and all that sort of stuff. Like I know we sort of talked about a number of this.
And on those who wants to get rid of, like, don't want to take a vaccination.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the vaccination at all.
Well, that's why they've called them anti-maskers, and they're also calling the anti-lockdown pro-freedom activists now virus deniers, which I think we all know what that's supposed to the implication of that is supposed to be, and they've been really going hard against the 99% Unite leaders this week, Fanos Panias and Rafael Fernandez. Obviously, they went after Eve Black pretty hard. They've also been after James Bartolo of the Conscious Truth Network, Nick Patterson, who runs that MMA gym in Cranbourne.
Mm-hmm.
They call them a cult, a virus-denying cult.
Yeah, and Nick's shout out to Nick too. He's also got that website out now, john8.net. So that's got a lot of templates and stuff for anybody who's interested in learning the law and the exemptions they can use for the masks and stuff like that. He has templates for all that stuff. So shout out to Nick and the good work he's doing. And john8.net. Everyone check it out.
And just on those two, they're referred to the Karen Bunnings. Those two, a blonde-haired, middle-aged ladies who went into Bunnings, unmasked one of them, berated the staff. Nobody in the anti-lockdown pro-freedom movement knows who they are or has not been able to reach them, which I know that Maddie said this on XYZ Live, and a few others suspect this, that they are crisis actors designed to demonize anti-lockdown activists.
Well, that's possible. It's also possible that the normies, like there's the that lady who was interviewed on one of the channels, and she said, "Oh, look, I get bored walking around the same streets. I want to go somewhere else."
That's the Jody Grollo, who was referred to as Karen from Brighton, but she's not a Karen though. A Karen is somebody who, abuses retail staff and demands to speak to the manager. It's not somebody who is just and she's actually
they flipped the meaning of Karen. They've deliberately flipped that meaning. Yeah, you were saying too.
Yeah, she the Jody Grollo, she's actually created an Instagram, Karen from Brighton. She's
and it's got 13,000 followers.
And she's really hilarious. I haven't. There's one where she she did a photo of the cases that she got from Dan Murphy's, and she says these are the only cases from Dan I want to hear about.
Yeah, so I find that interesting because like she gets that like humor is one of the ways that we take down this establishment which is trying to lord it all over us, and so obviously she's a threat. Like she's got quite a big following in quite short space of time, which is why like I found there's an article written about her where what the media will do is they'll pretend not to get the joke. And so they write what she said and try to make her look like a crazy person, to try to sort of just shape the narrative around her for people.
Well, but the thing also about her is that she's the daughter of pokies magnate Bruce Atkinson, and she's married into the Grollo construction family, so she
doesn't have anything to fear.
Yeah, money's no object. I don't think she's sort of scared about a $1,652 fine. But this was the thing. I remember the next day, 9 News, they went and interviewed that Frankston Greek guy who was in Oakley doing his Greek shopping. They were blaming people exercising in the next suburb or shopping a few suburbs over for spreading the virus, when it's clear that this second wave is being transmitted in essential workplaces. It's not, you're not spreading it by exercising one suburb over.
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
Like that was just basically it was just the media were out to sort of demonize people.
I don't mind the return to localism in that regard, but what I find interesting is that just the way that the media is having to go after any normie who sticks their head up. There was last week there's a musician who's got lots of views, like hundreds of thousands of views on SoundCloud or one of those things, and he on his Instagram he was just writing up against masks, and so the media did a hit piece on him. So they've got normies coming out against the narrative, and I'm not sure the media quite know how to deal with them.
The Daily Mail, they did like a huge write-up on all the anti-lockdown, anti-maskers, virus deniers. Some I'd heard of for the first time, which means that they're not that high profile. They're just basically concerned citizens. And I've not heard of in any of these exposés, whether in the Daily Mail or the Australian, they have not reached out to any of these activists for comment, just written about them and ripped their photos from Facebook.
Yeah.
So
it's the rise of the normies. I'm sort of pondering how to put it into a piece. I find it quite interesting.
But Daily Mail, they definitely seem to be going in the hardest at the moment. That's probably one of the most original journalism that they've done for quite a while, given that they just sort of they have that reputation for just ripping off mainstream media stories. Do you know the trick, David, that if there's something that's broken in paywalled newspapers, you just go to the Daily Mail rip-off of it?
Yeah, that's true. And then you can scroll down the side and you get girls in bikinis and big boobs as well. So, it's pretty nice.
Plagiarism.
Well, they've been, what is it? They've been the main, when he's not ranting about climate deniers on Media Watch, Paul Barry's always going on about the Daily Mail ripping off articles.
Well, I kind of do the same thing with the Australian, actually. Like, I'll sort of just cut and paste massive things and put my own spin on it.
Yeah, but you actually you don't claim it as your own. I
always make sure I say I always say, okay, this is from these people.
Yeah, the Daily Mail doesn't do that. So, Reg. How do you feel about your being locked out of Queensland now as a Sydney-sider? They've been trying to hype up the New South Wales second wave, but their daily new cases have still been in the teens. So I would say that New South Wales second wave is a flop.
Yeah, it is a flop. I just can't believe the Queensland's announcing that no one goes up to Queensland if you're from Grey and Sydney, especially Central Coast. And I've got some mates living up Central Coast, and oh, they are really not happy at all. They were like looking forward to go up there to have a good time, but nah, they can't even go up there now. So, except for like anyone from Greater Sydney cannot go up to Queensland, especially Central Coast people, but the rest of the area they can go up to Queensland. So Sydney's kind of a hot spot at the moment.
Yeah. How's it going to work for you, Jarrad, on Monday? Because you're a Wodonga resident. It's the mask mandate or face covering mandate will come into effect. But if you go over to Albury, you don't have to wear it.
No, yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to work that. So I'm not going to wear a mask anyway. I had my my religious exemption template, again, thanks to Nick Patterson. So I won't be wearing a mask. But yeah, I'm sure everyone else is going to definitely have to juggle that one because they'll be
and
it pretty strictly, I'd say.
And what's going to be the policies of cafes and restaurants and pubs now, which are open in rural and regional Victoria? One of the exemptions for not wearing a mask is when you eat and drink.
You have to be seated is the requirement here, apparently. So as long as you're seated, you're allowed to take your mask off. But if you stand up to walk around the restaurant, you have to put your mask back on. So that's the requirement. Yeah.
I thought
It's ridiculous.
We've been saying that the coronavirus, it's got this like weird artificial intelligence to it. It knows your political views. It knows if you're sitting or you're standing. It knows if you're in a church or some other kind of.
Knows where the borders are.
Yeah. And Dan Andrews discovered that there's a low risk of getting it from the pub now, even though he closed all the ones in Melbourne at the beginning of the second lockdown. And also with this second lockdown, you're allowed to, in Melbourne, you're allowed to play golf, go fishing, surf, horse riding, lawn bowls, which you weren't allowed to engage in such recreational activities during the first lockdown because apparently a game of golf wasn't worth a life. But we're 3 weeks into this second lockdown. I haven't heard of any community transmission from golf.
Or fishing.
No. Yeah, fishing by yourself. How do you get? Well, if you're Rex Hunt and you kiss the fish, you might give birth to a new virus.
Yeah, or spread it amongst the sea. Don't want that.
That's the only risk I can see from fishing. Maybe a directive not to kiss the fish. The anti-Rex Hunt directive.
Yeah, no catch and release.
Now, while we're on masks and eating, of course, the ABC published this. Expert calls for stricter mask control to halt coronavirus spread. And it has here a University of New South Wales professor, Mary Louise McLaws, has called for authorities to tighten mask-wearing rules in workplaces amid outbreaks in food processing and aged care. And she said every employee needs to start immediately thinking about keeping workers away from each other during breaks, in that they can't be breathing the same air. They need to wear a mask while they're having a break, lifting the mask up and eating underneath it. Professor McLaws said the approach, which could also include staggered breaks in all workplaces, had worked in reducing transmissions in Hong Kong. Even 2 meters between workers isn't enough. They can't talk.
It's like when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
If we all got a little bit rowdy and we're just talking too much to our friends.
Yeah, this is what she looks like.
Our teachers would make us sit next to people who weren't our friends so that we wouldn't talk to them as much. Yeah. It's like they're just ramping up that level of take away people's social interaction with each other. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want to sit next to her.
She's also
said... she's like, I want other people to live like me where people avoid me.
If you want them to talk because you want them to be healthy and happy, you have to give them a Perspex barrier. But there is one good academic who's emerged. She was on 60 Minutes last Sunday, and she was on Q&A Monday. And I also saw her on the Kenny Report tonight. Gigi Foster, who is a professor at the University of New South Wales School of Economics. She has been speaking out strongly against the continuing lockdowns, arguing that they're doing more harm than good for the healthy people who are being forced to stay at home, the businesses that have been shut down. And she believes that this is not the second wave. We're still in the first wave, and there's going to be a second wave to come. And those jurisdictions that think they've eliminated the virus, such as WA and New Zealand, it will eventually get there unless they stop all travel there forever. She's a proponent of the Swedish model, where they quarantined the sick, elderly and frail, but life went on. And even though they had more deaths at the beginning, their death rate has consistently gone down. So has their active cases and new cases, and Sweden's economy is bouncing back quite well.
I think 60 Minutes profiled her, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, and they played, like, they had the scary music going over when she was talking.
Yes, and when she was on Q&A, Hamish McDonald was like, "You're advocating for people to die."
Yeah, okay. So she's been demonized. Interesting.
And also because she has an American accent, because she studied at Yale University. A lot of there's been a lot of what would you call it, racist abuse for her being a Yank, saying don't tell us what Australians what to do.
Do these people support Christine Keneally as well? Right?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Or Christina Keneally, she disavowed the US, renounced US citizenship to become premier.
Interesting. Double standards everywhere. Okay, Timmy. You reckon we're just about done for the evening?
Yeah, I think so. Why don't we have some make some wild predictions? We should call them, because none of us know, let alone what the numbers tomorrow are going to be, let alone what the numbers are going to be in a couple of weeks' time. But this state of emergency is due to expire on the 16th of August, which is 2.5 weeks away, and we had 723 cases today, 13 deaths. So we've had 105 coronavirus deaths in Victoria in total. 83 of those have been in the second wave. Do you reckon we'll get out of this second lockdown, house arrest, in another 2.5 weeks, or we going?
No, I don't think the lockdown will ever end. Even if the coronavirus, whether or not it's going to be as bad as I initially predicted it would be, to me, it's clear that it's being used globally to institute a system of control, to act as cover for the collapse of the world economy due to massive global debt, and just to get us all living in pods and eating bugs. I think that's their game plan. How about you guys?
I think you're spot on with the using it to cover the global economic collapse. I think that's definitely on its way. I think they want to roll out a new system. I think the only way they can roll out a new system is if everybody's divided and locked down and demoralised. I think if they try to start a new system where everyone's free and try to launch a socialist system or something like that, a globalist system, they might find some resilience. So I think the fact that they can lock everyone down will make their efforts a lot easier. So I don't know how they're going to keep running it through spring and summer once the weather gets nicer. I mean, the days up here are beautiful.
Yeah, wearing a mask at the beach. So what? You're gonna be in a bikini or budgie smugglers and have a mask on.
At Bondi, they'll be topless with their face masks. Surely.
If people don't fucking stand up by then and do something, then we are lost forever, because enough's enough. If it goes into summer, into spring, into summer, then that'll be beyond acceptable.
And people forget that we're in probably the peak of Melbourne winter. It has been very cold.
Flu season.
Yeah, which 900 Australians died from the flu last year. We're up to 173 from coronavirus nationwide. 36 have died from the normal seasonal flu. So clearly combining those well below the seasonal flu. Yet how many other deaths have we caused through suicide, domestic violence, or all other things? How many lives have we destroyed, crushed people's dreams and hope? There needs to be. You could basically take Greta Thunberg's "How dare you" speech and have it as a Zoomer delivering it how the lockdown destroyed their dreams and their childhood.
Well, even the next generation, the kids aren't getting to socialise. They're growing up with no social skills. They're not going to school. They're locked in their house. They're not doing sports. They're paying. The next generation is paying now for this lockdown. So
I can tell you the kids hate it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-month-old. So trying to get them to socialise. And we were homeschooling before lockdown started, but a lot of people aren't. They're not prepared for that. They're not capable for that. They have jobs, so the kids are missing out. Left, right, and centre here. So that's one of the biggest issues is what this is doing to the next generation. They're growing up scared of the virus.
Yeah.
And of course, governments can only survive with other people's money. Of course, they can print it, but of course, with still large swags of the economy shut down, governments themselves, even if they would like the lockdowns to be extended, how are they going to fund it? And I think that's influenced the decision of Dan Andrews not to shut the pubs and restaurants in Geelong and its surroundings, because he knows that he won't have taxpayers if those businesses are forced to close. They'll have to go on JobKeeper.
Well, maybe that's the point. They're not supposed to fund it. Maybe they're just trying to keep it going just a little bit longer, just till they can institute that new financial system.
Shut it all down again.
Yeah.
But there is it was actually being discussed tonight, maybe a silver lining to this second wave in Victoria, even though all the deaths are tragic. But by accident, Melbourne might reach herd immunity, where the other jurisdictions like New Zealand and WA, which have basically achieved elimination, they haven't achieved herd immunity because they haven't had community transmission. So when they eventually do reopen, or could be forced to reopen by the High Court, they're going to have no herd immunity there. They'll have the second wave, because this is what's happened. It's a
$6 million question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone from the northeast, the first wave in the US, New York, and it's gone south to Florida, Texas, and Arizona. So it's becoming clear. The evidence is becoming more conclusive that elimination it doesn't mean that it's eliminated forever.
I don't like, again, it doesn't. I'm of a different opinion. I think it doesn't matter what they say. I think they'll fluctuate the numbers as they choose, because again, the testing doesn't test for coronavirus. So without a test for coronavirus, the numbers are all irrelevant. Whatever they say, whatever they pick and choose on the day. There's no way of being able to tell. The government states that the coronavirus test isn't accurate. They don't know the accuracy. They can't confirm the accuracy. So if they can't confirm the accuracy, they can't confirm the numbers.
Even though they go down your throat and up your nose, like it's a very invasive test, and for all that uncomfortableness, you not even getting 100% accurate.
The government says 1 in 11 is wrong. That's what the government numbers are. So the government's saying that it's a lot more. But the thing is, they never actually got the structure of the virus originally when they took the first samples of the COVID-19 virus. They haven't got a DNA profile for it. So without that profile, then PCR tests, the numbers are all fictional. Yeah.
We've got a super chat now on Entropy from the Versace Cowboy, who said, breaking news, Peter Grace is transgender, sucked in piss boy. Wasn't it you,
I'm prepared to believe that.
Well, wasn't it you, David, who said that he looked like Marsha Langton, who's a woman?
It's entirely possible that I said that. It sounds like the sort of thing that I would say. I can't confirm or deny that.
So he does, I guess, have an androgynous appearance.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got that long stringy hair. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that $3 US dollar super chat, Versace Cowboy. Yeah, so we might wrap it up. Thank you, Dave, for rejoining the Uncuckables. Thank you, Reg, for coming on as well. And thank you, Jarrad, for making your Uncuckables debut.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Yeah, let us know.
Thanks very much, Jarrad. Been a lot of fun.
No, thank you, Dave. It was nice to meet you. Yeah, honour.
You too.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Let us know what the brave new Wodonga is like on Monday.
I will, and I'll check out that African supermarket too, and I'll let you know just how bare the shelves are.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks to our super chatters and our regular chatters. And we're back to normal now. Well, we mainly took a break because Dave is taking a break and a break, but you're back on board now, Dave.
Yeah, back on. I was a bit burnt out last couple of weeks, but I appreciate a couple of weeks off. So thank you.
Yeah, even we need a bit of well, we can't have a holiday, but we can have what do you call it? A homer day.
Just resting from the front lines. Yeah.
Doing a good job, boys.
Cheers.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys. Bye.